G'day, ZiggyD here with another Path of Exile video. In this particular video, I want to take you guys through my process of planning out a build for the upcoming patch. We have some information, although not the official patch notes yet, so we don't know the exact extent of some of these changes. But we have some information on what's going to be changing in the patch, and since we've got these two new exciting Anarchy and Onslaught leagues to prepare for, I want to try and come up with a build, and I've got a bit of an idea of one. I've done a bit of pre-planning, but I want to, work through it again with you guys, because maybe you guys will get something out of it in terms of planning out a build, or maybe you'll just find it interesting to see the build I'm planning out, because I might give you guys updates as I level this build through the leagues, if all goes well. We'll see. So firstly, I'll just talk about the main changes in this in terms of rebalancing. Firstly, we've got a reduction in life and enemy damage. So life nodes may be less important. You may not need quite so many, but enemies are going to be doing less damage, and that means that armor will scale a lot better, because basically the less damage enemies do, the better your armor mitigates the damage that they can do. Now the thing is with that sort of reduction is that doesn't actually directly benefit evasion at all. And now I've tried to make pure evasion builds in the past, like I've been working for quite a while on a pure evasion bow build, and I've learnt quite a few things about what it takes to make pure evasion work, and it's difficult, and it was not really worth it in the end. But in terms of rebalancing this other stuff which benefits armor even further, Grinding Gear have also decided to make evasion a little bit more viable by changing the acrobatics node essentially. So if we go over to the acrobatics node here, which typically removes all armor and energy shield, in the future it will only remove half of your armor and energy shield. So that's a pretty big buff. Now other buffs that we know that are coming are an increase to physical damage builds, so any sort of physical damage build is going to be more viable. We're going to have better evasion builds, and maybe life nodes don't become quite as important. So with all of that information, I've decided, as you can probably see on the side here, I want to make a physical acrobatics wand shield build, possibly dual wielding ones, but most likely wand and shield. The reason for this is when I was tinkering with pure evasion in the past, I sort of come to the realization that to make pure evasion really, really strong, I think a shield is needed, both for the additional evasion it gives you into your build, which is super important, but also for the block chance and how that can also cover, because having rolling to block and then rolling to evade at the same time can make for a very powerful defense. And I think actually an evasion focused, block focused sort of build can become possibly even better, more survivable in the end game than a life stacking armor build. But we'll see. So I have planned out an initial build sort of for this, but what I like to do is whenever I'm planning as a build, I like to initially plan it out, then I like to wait a day or something like that and not look at it again, and then I'll open up a separate passive skill tree and I'll try and plan out the build again. Now I'll try and just think of the main things, not trying to recreate the build that I planned out before, but just planning it again. Now the reason for this is because when you plan out a build like this one here, you have all of these paths that you've already set up. So any modifications you might try to make and improvements are usually based on those paths. But if you try to create the build again from scratch, you might find that you go an alternate route somewhere, or you do something else that ends up working out better, or maybe you focus on different things that you think are more important. Usually always learn something through iteration. Iteration is super important in these sorts of things. So basically, I'll recreate this build, and then I'll go back and compare it to the other one, and we'll see how we go. Now, I've got on the side here a list of the skills that I think would use. Basically, the first step for any build is to plan out the theme of the build, which for this one is physical acrobatics wand shield build. I've made videos on planning builds in the past, but this might be a bit of a refresher course for some of you. And then the next step is to pick the skills that will go well with that. Now, since I'm making a physical wand build, I need to look for a skill that is both physical, works really well with physical, takes advantage of physical, and also works with wands, which is only a small selection of skills. Now you've got Power Siphon and Frenzy. Power Siphon is better used with elemental builds typically. Most people will go for lightning with Power Siphon. So I've decided, since I'm also going for evasion, I'm going to be on the evasion side of the tree, I'm going to have good access to Frenzy charge nodes like this. So Frenzy is the natural choice. Now I'll probably be using that for my single and AoE build, with also blind on it as well. Hopefully I'll have very high attack speed. With chance to blind, I'll be blinding lots of enemies, which makes evasion super powerful. Blind is amazing. It's so underused, and I think it has a lot of potential. But I think it'll be used a lot more in this patch now that people will be going more evasion builds, which is pretty fun. Now I may also use Power Siphon just for the Culling Strike aspect. Culling Strike is fantastic, and maybe just having an off skill to, cull bosses and things like that will be good, and it also will help grant a few power charges. So basically I'll probably just have that as like a multiple projectiles sort of ability with no focus on damage whatsoever, and I'll just use it to cull off enemies and get a few extra power charges, because a little bit of extra crit isn't going to hurt. And if I do happen to go, which I didn't write on the list, if I do happen to go Conduit, then I'm still going to share some power charges around, which is always nice. Now obviously Grace is super important for any evasion build, no brainer. Enfeeble, also super important because that reduces your enemy's chance to hit as well. So it makes your evasion that you do have even more effective. Enfeeble plus blind, best combination ever for evasion, can make you pretty much impossible to hit. Pretty good stuff. Now, Power Siphon wonder builds are pretty mana hungry, and I'm thinking the same thing's probably going to happen with Frenzy as well. Frenzy is quite an expensive skill overall, so I may need to go the Clarity Discipline route with Eldritch Battery, and we'll try and plan it out based on that, but that might be something I have to change as I actually level the build. Again, you have to iterate as you level as well. Hatred is possibility. It's a percentage reserved aura, but it works really well with physical because it gives you a percentage of your physical damage, again as cold. So that could work very well with this. I'm in the right side of the tree for it, essentially. Now, I was originally thinking of fire because added fire damage is like that same sort of physical conversion, but maybe I can use both, like a bit of cold fire, just to buff out that physical damage a bit, but the physical damage will be the main focus. Then Anger and Wrath if I can. Now, I've also got a list of things here I need just so I don't forget. Basically, I need 100 intelligence because that's an easy one to forget there. So straight away, the next step then is to pick the class that best suits, because you can pick a class to begin with and then try and plan back from that, but I find it better to pick the theme and then find the class that best suits with that. Originally I was thinking of Shadow, but Shadow gives you attack speed, projectile speed, movement damage, attack speed, all that good jazz, and the Duelist is a bit better set up for a sort of a strength wonder sort of build, but the Ranger has access to this 18% evasion node, all these great evasion nodes here, some extra life, some extra attack speed. I think perfect, suits this build perfectly. So we'll go ahead and start chucking points in. Now, I'm probably going to have to overplan because when I did before, I overplanned. Now, Shield, I'm thinking... Now, the problem with Shield is you can get really high block chance and that's going to help a lot, but it's very difficult to get block recovery in this sort of setup. At least I did before, but we'll see how it goes. So, I'm going to first plot the courses to the main things we need. So, we need arrow dodging, so this should be the best route to take to arrow dodging. And then we should be able to... or not. Let's double check that. Let's go back. We want to make sure that we are doing this efficiently. So we'll come back to here. Yes, that is the spot there, and we'll use the highlight shortest paths to find the shortest route. So we've got 5 to arrow dodging there, 5 to there, and we're taking an extra 6th one. Because we do want this. I think. All right. I think I've worked out that will be most efficient to head down this way. Arrow dodging. Now, this Alchemist node is actually really, really good for pure evasion builds because you need to do quick heals in between when you're getting hit. You won't be getting hit very often, but when you do, you want to quickly heal it back up so that you can survive the next hit. So Alchemist is very good. I won't pick it up now though, but it's one to keep in mind and it's easily accessible. Now we definitely want these life nodes. We do. You do still want to... in the past, you've wanted to stack a lot of life with evasion nodes, but again, there's patch notes coming out soon, and we don't know exactly how that will factor in. Now, I've got some accuracy there. Accuracy will be an issue. I didn't write that in my need list, but I definitely need accuracy. Now, we can pretty much go straight for acrobatics because we're not actually losing too much by doing that at this point, and I've tested that before, and it works out pretty well. So the other things we need then are... We need to eventually head up to Conduit. I kind of want to jump in here and grab leather and steel for extra evasion. We definitely need these evasion nodes here, so I think the best route then is probably to head through the center. 1, 2, strength, 1, 2. Alright, we'll go through evasion here, and that gives us access to these life nodes as well. So let's grab out these life nodes. I'm already thinking this is quite different to how I've planned it out in the past. Now, we also want these nodes up here. Now, those are very far away, but I think that's probably worth the travel because it also puts us right next to Eldritch Battery. So if we're going for Eldritch Battery, we can also get these here. So the best way is to go through the Frenzy Charges because we want those anyway. We'll just head out through the Frenzy Charges, kind of all over the place, but branching out. So, and we want this Frenzy Charge here, so that'd be good. Now, this one here, increased evasion rating per frenzy charge. Just want to point that out. That's an awesome node. I love that one. Now, we also need to... I definitely want to come through here and grab these evasion and energy shield nodes, which will help out with Eldritch Battery, help out with elemental resistances there, and we'll grab these two as well. They're nice and easy to get. Now, we'll leave that for now because we can head into the shadow starting area, which is quite good, but maybe we don't need to yet, and we'll see if we have some points to spend on that a little later on. Now, what else do we need? Now, we do have some stun recovery here, but we'll leave that, again, we'll leave that until the end. We'll plan out the main thing. So we want these evasion nodes here, so we'll head up, and this takes us past here to head straight to Conduit. Now, Conduit is something that I can pick up later on, essentially if and when I start partying up. So just planning to here, I guess, or even just to here is fine, or even just to here. But if at any time we want to go up and get Conduit to do some more party play, we can grab Iron Grip in these lives, and that should work. So I'll plan that out now, just to see what that looks like there. Now, I don't think we need to head up anywhere. It'd be not very nice to head over into the Mortar and Templar area, but that's, you know, that's old school. We're gonna try and do something different here in preparation for this newer and exciting patch. Now, we have a couple options here. 1, 2, 3, and we're on the frenzy charges. So 1, 2 nodes to get to there, or 1, 2. 1, 2. Yes, okay. Let's double check this. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 1, 2, 1, 2. Okay, I think that works out fine. We can either gear up an extra int node. We actually might need an extra int node, and it's going to be quite low. So let's go ahead and get that instead. So we'll plan these out, and we'll drop these 2 nodes here, because I don't think I need to come down there for any reason, but we can go straight down and grab Diamond Skins. That's fantastic. We get an extra frenzy charge, not really a big deal. Now, that also gives us a shorter route to Golem's Blood and Life here, which is always good. And we can get Berserkering, which is excellent. Now, I think that... So mana, as I said in the past, mana issues could be a problem with this build. So we do have the option here of Mana Flows, which is a fantastic mana regeneration node. We might not need that once we get Eldritch Battery, but we can spec into this and then spec back out of it to go to Eldritch Battery later on. So I think that's the main structure. We'll head up to Eldritch Battery. Now, what's the best way to get there? We have highlight shortest path. We'll use this tactic here. Yeah, it looks like going through the bottom is better, and that's fine anyway. That's good because it gives us access to like Mind Drinker, which will also help with our mana problems. Usually you wouldn't get Mind Drinker, but since we're going a physical build, we can actually get that, and it will be quite good. Now, obviously, we're passing by a lot of crit chance nodes that we can pick up and easily spec out of it later if we want. We want these excellent 1 damage nodes, and that core build there takes us to 22 points left, which is about where you kind of want to leave off in planning a build. But we know now that we have easy access without traveling too far to other excellence nodes, and we can even take away these conduit ones if we're not doing any party play. So that gives us another 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, you know, and potentially even Iron Grip, because Iron Grip is we've only got about, we'll probably have around 100 strength once everything's planned out. So that's a nice little increase, but it's not worth probably sinking a bunch of points into unless you're going up to conduit in the first place. So we can actually take off a bunch of points here. And sink them into other like survivability nodes, extra damage nodes. We've got some like nice crit chance. We've already picked up we can pick up the Alchemist node here, potentially stun recovery. Now for the shield, I do need some block chance and stun recovery. So we've got easy access to these ones here. We've got shield defense, shield mastery, which gives us the defenses, which is a very nice increase in evasion, and also the block chance is nice there. Now there is a really good one. 1, 2, 3, 4, and block recovery. 40% block recovery. So we can come down through here and grab those there. Those ones are just block chance, but I don't think they're really worth grabbing. The other shield node is up here, but that doesn't give us block recovery. So getting a lot of block chance without block recovery is a bit iffy. But yeah, that'll be one I'll see how it plays out. And then if we need accuracy, if we find accuracy is too low with the bond, which is entirely possible, then grabbing pretty much these 3 nodes here, this Deadeye cluster, will probably solve any accuracy problems because it multiplies with the dexterity that you do have, so it should solve any problems. Now let's just compare this to our other setup. We're looking pretty similar. Just want to see if there's any major changes. So I've picked up the mana flows, come down berserkering, all that good jazz. If they do end up the same, then that's good news. That means we've probably done a pretty good job of planning out the first time. Now just double checking up here, shield. Okay, so in the original one, I've just spent the extra points to go up into the shadow. I'm probably thinking that is very end game thing. Like if we want to spend some extra points, the shadow area is a nice one to dip into. It gives us some more strength, extra attack speed, very nice life cluster, and some crit chance intelligence. So I think that's probably pretty good there. Now this one node here gives us a little bit of accuracy and physical damage, so it might also be worth picking up. I think that's feeling pretty solid. I'll link this second one, I think. So I'll close the original one. I'll link this second one in the description. You guys can check it out if you want. Maybe if you're expert build planners and you notice any inefficiencies or anything like that, or maybe have some alternative suggestions on how I can plan this build, you guys can leave them in the comments below. And hopefully if you're planning builds or you're fairly new to Path of Exile, I notice there are a fair few new players coming in, maybe this will help you out a bit with the process of planning a build, because it's something that you do again and again as you roll these new characters and you get a little bit better at it each time. Anyway, that's it for now. I'm ZiggyD, and thanks for watching.